Oh, I think it is recording.
If you like, cut out that first 20 minutes, please.
Oh, God. That's live. That's live TV.
Yeah.
We didn't say anything too incriminating.
No.
That's hopefully all right.
So.
Well, everybody knows you've got your blusher now sorted. So that's the
Yeah.
main thing. That's the main thing.
I know.
And I have a mountain
like
of work.
on.
See, that's lovely from Therese. Your makeup is lovely.
Thank you. Yeah, because you know when you're looking in the mirror and you're like, oh yeah, that looks lovely and natural. Then you see yourself on camera, you're like, who are you?
I know, it's like I'm so pasty. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And I feel like I'm a bit caked now, but we'll leave it.
Oh no.
And me talking about how I just want to do afternoon tea and tennis for the rest of my life.
You're being honest.
Easy, everyone. I just like an easy life. Who doesn't?
Oh, stop. I know. Gas. So sorry there. That was your entertainment for the morning, guys.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 minutes. We'll wait. There's more arriving.
So, yeah, I suppose we won't get an official doors are open or anything like that.
No, I think we'll just kick in at past.
Great.
So we're nearly there.
I have my wedding photo in the background.
Of course. Such a good job. Your photos are amazing.
They were lovely, actually. Garrett was our photographer. He's brilliant. He was like the nicest man in the world as well.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I love the little virtual booths. I think that's such a great idea.
Do you know what? It's fantastic. It's really, really good. And like a lot of suppliers have like videos uploaded into them already, so you can get a nice little taster of what there are. And then you can hit register interest. So you're not diving straight in.
Yeah. And then what? They're able to just answer any questions.
They're able to answer any questions. And yeah, so it's fantastic. But it's great. Like, sit there in your pajamas and just plan away.
I know, especially, I don't know, I do love an event. Like, I'm such a party person. I love planning them.
Yeah.
But like, there's something nice about just not having to leave your house.
I know.
Yeah, can't beat it. And then there's a fashion show as well. That's going to be
brilliant. There's a fashion show at 1, and there's a fashion show again at 2:45. And the dresses are stunning. They're absolutely stunning.
Any nice designers?
They're all like you've got 7 bridal boutiques. You've got MK Bridal, Smart Brides. You've got Abel. You've Timeless. You've got Jesus. I can't. My brain.
Bridal's fab.
Oh Jesus! And the stuff is just stunning. Forever Bridal as well.
My sister-in-law is getting married, and she's been bringing me along to the wedding dress shop. So it's like my favorite thing in the world.
Oh, that's fantastic!
Yeah, I could do.
You can relive it again
forever. Yeah.
Right, we're coming close to starting.
Perfect. Yeah, it says there's 24 people now.
Not 25. Here we go.
Hi, everyone.
So, it's 12:30.
Woo!
We're on.
We're open.
So hello to everyone who's just joined. Those who like Teresa, you've been here for the last while. You've heard all the background chat. So you're all so welcome. So I'm delighted to introduce today to Caoimhe, the Irish bride, and I think she's the ultimate poster child for all of COVID wedding planning. She had absolutely every single high and low and just battled through it like an absolute professional. Caoimhe, tell us about your journey.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I don't think, well, actually, I was going to say I don't think anyone has gone through, but I think everyone getting married the last year has gone through every single emotion that ever exists under the sun. So we had initially planned to get married in October 2020. We had a guest list of 220 people, which in a way we're kind of lucky didn't go ahead because we probably weren't
still be paying for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anyone heard me talking about wanting to get a house before this, that would not be happening.
Yeah,
we wouldn't be talking about that right now. But yeah, we'd initially planned for an October wedding, 2020, about 220 people, and then COVID hit. So we made that choice to postpone, thinking we'll give it a chance to have everyone. And then in April, it was even more strict than it had been in October. So we got married in April 2021 with 6 people, 6 guests, and we got married in Kilkee Castle still. But I did get to have my horse there, Magic. So that was definitely a plus. But yeah, it was definitely a roller coaster of emotions. I do think you don't realize yourself even how much pressure you're under until it's all over, and you just feel like, whoa, like this whole weight is lifted off you because you're not checking the news every day. Like I was checking the news every single day.
Obsessed with it.
Yeah. And I was saying at the start too, like now I don't check the news at all. Like I'm just, not that I don't care, but it just hasn't taken over my life that same way. So any brides out there who are going through that at the moment, like I completely feel your pain. It is a very tough journey, but it is so worth it. Like when you get to that day, it does not matter. Like when you walk down that aisle, it could be 100 people there, there could be 2 people there. You don't care. Like you're just focused on like your husband or whoever's at the top of that aisle waiting for you, and you forget everything else. So yeah, big emotional journey, but completely worth it when it comes to your actual special wedding day.
And then you went back then just very recently and had a catch-up party then in October.
Yeah. Well, I had a party in October. It was my birthday party, but I've always been a bit of a Halloween fanatic. I love Halloween. I love, as I was saying at the start, I love parties in general. Like any sort of event where you get to dress up and plan and make it like a bit special, I am there. So I got a marquee from Laia Q Bell in Tullamore, who is absolutely amazing. She came and set up that big marquee for us, and she helped us decorate. We got food. We got the Irish Horsebox Bar, who had drinks for people, and we just went all out. Like we'd saved a good bit of money from only having such a small wedding, and we kind of put some of it aside to be like, let's have a celebration
and enjoy it. Yeah, when you can.
Yeah. But we're actually still waiting. We're going to postpone our celebration until there's absolutely no restrictions. But that party I had in October really did kind of tick that box, or that whatever was missing, that you wanted to dance with your friends, like you want to have some drinks with your family. Like that part of the wedding that we did miss was definitely satisfied by having that party. So like if you're thinking, will it not be the same? You really can have a party at any time. Like the party can be done, but that ceremony and the wedding itself is special. It doesn't have to be 600 people. It just has to be yourself, your husband, your wife, your closest people to you, and you're going to have the best day ever.
And tell us, Caoimhe, because you had such an iconic dress. What was your story with the dress?
My dress, yeah. So the dress, it was something so the dress is definitely a good story. I went to Madonna is the name of the store in Poland. I was living in Krakow, and I'm very fussy about dresses. Now I know everyone is, but I feel like I was particularly nightmarish about what I wanted, because I wouldn't say I was into traditional wedding looks, but then when I look at the photos, I do feel it is quite traditional looking. But in my head, I was like, I don't want anything traditional. I don't want lace. I don't want anything like that. I actually wanted just a really sleek, simple silk dress or something like that. And then I saw this dress on Victoria Soprano, which is a designer, and it was stocked in this store in Poland. And I was like, oh my gosh, please tell me you have it. And they're like, we're so sorry, we've just discontinued this designer. And I was like, but they're like, well, we've loads of other beautiful ones. We've Berta. And I had seen Berta loads and I liked it, but I was like, it's lovely, but it was just a bit too like sexy. So, you know, when you see some of the photos,
they don't
see-through. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I kind of like it, but I don't think I'd be walking down the aisle in one of those dresses. So, but I was like, sure, I'll go anyway. Like I was over in Poland. My friend was there. She came with me, and my cousin. So we went in and tried them on, and I just fell in love with a different Berta dress. It was like quite similar-ish, was slightly off the shoulders, and I was like, right, this is my dress. I love it. Then she told me the price, and I was like, okay, this is not my dress.
Berta doesn't come cheap.
I was like, maybe another time. So it was like, okay, grand. I was like, I'll have a think about it. And then a trunk show came on, so I came to the trunk show where my dress actually was. And the dress it was definitely pricey, and it was way over my budget, but I was so in love with it. And they said they were 20% off, and I was like, you know what?
That's a good discount.
Yeah, because of the trunk show. And then my mom was like, I'll help you out. She's like, I'm not paying for the full thing because I'm not crazy, but I'll split it with you, you know? So I was like, great, we won't tell Niall. He doesn't need to know. And so we kind of did this little like secret mission to get the dress. But I will say it was worth it at the end. So I did go over budget on my dress and I splashed out, but it was worth it, especially when you think of everything I didn't get to have on the wedding because
now when you think of it, yeah.
And like, I'm so glad that I just went to my gut and got like the dream dress, because if anything else, at least I can always look at it and think that it was the best purchase I've ever made in my life. You know, I just love it so much. So yeah, that's
brilliant. And how's married life now that you've settled in?
Oh, it's really nice, I have to say. Do you know, I didn't think it'd be any different because we've been living together for a couple of years now and we know each other well. But it's kind of nice, like you almost feel like you've this little secret team thing going on, you know, and you're like, oh my gosh, but now it does wear off after a while, I know. But like for the start, you're kind of like, oh my gosh, like we're our own little family now, you know, and I know you get
Yes.
that anyway, but definitely like those first few weeks of married life, I just felt like we almost had our own little secret family group and it was just the two of us
So
and no one else
lovely.
was allowed in. And it was this really lovely feeling and you just felt very safe, like you always kind of had that person. So yeah, I am enjoying married life, definitely. But we're like, we live here, we work here, we're just we're like with each other 24
On to the
7.
next chapter. Exactly. Well,
So
look,
like it doesn't feel too different.
so Caoimhe, I'm going to hand you over now to those who are waiting and have no doubt a load of questions to ask you. And I know you're going to be on standby now, ready and raring to go. So Caoimhe, thank you so much. And everybody can follow Caoimhe over on The Irish Bride over on Instagram. And she's got some great stuff up there. And of course, you can have a look back on her actual wedding day where she had six guests. And of course, her horse Magic, is it?
Yeah,
Magic. Oh. Caoimhe, have a great day. Thanks so much for joining me today and look forward to chatting to you soon.
Yeah, talk to you soon.
Thank you.
And if anyone has any questions, do feel free to shoot them into the question box here. I did also put up a little question box on my page, so I will start with some of those while you're typing them out, or if you do have any to type out. And the first one that was asked, it was actually asked yesterday separately, but someone mentioned how to make a registry that bit more special. So they are getting married in Portugal and they wanted to know, like, so they want to get married in Ireland first officially and then go and have their celebration in Portugal. So I put up a question box and you sent me in some really great ideas. And some of them were to get a photographer. So wear something white. So even if it's not your wedding dress, get yourself like a lovely white jumpsuit, a lovely white dress, get a photographer, book yourself a nice lunch afterwards for just you and your family or just a small number of people. Have it just very like intimate, special day and get it photographed. Wear something really stylish, something that you wouldn't wear for your wedding dress, but something a bit more out there maybe. Wear white, have some flowers, and yeah, just make a day of it, get it photographed and really enjoy it. So who was my 6 guests? So obviously my mom and dad, Niall's parents, and we brought both of our grannies. We were quite lucky that the church allowed us to have a bridesmaid and a groomsman that didn't count as guests because they were part of your bridal party. So we could have my sister and Niall's brother in the church with us, but they couldn't come for dinner with us after. So that was quite sad, to be honest, because they obviously got to see the ceremony part, which is most important, but they couldn't enjoy any of the food or the castle excitement afterwards. Another question that came in on my question box on my page was about bridesmaids' dresses and how to go about picking bridesmaids' dresses. So bridesmaids' dresses was by far the hardest part for me. I really struggled. I loved Jenny Yu. They were like the most gorgeous dresses, but they're obviously that little bit pricier. And I didn't know if I wanted to pay for them. I didn't even know if I could have the girls at my wedding. So I ended up finding the dream dresses at the one by Sinead Corcoran, who had these gorgeous Moira Hughes satin style, which if you follow me on Instagram, you probably know I love that like slip dress style. And these were just really beautiful, like purpley earthy color. They were actually called Earth was the color and they were just perfect, but I didn't get to get them altered. So I haven't got many pictures of them yet. Once they're altered, we're going to do like a proper photo shoot with a camera, like with proper photographer and get those, because that is one thing I'm missing. I have loads of beautiful photos with Niall, loads of beautiful photos at the castle and the church, but I don't have many of like my bridesmaids and me because 2 of them were abroad and couldn't get home. And the other 2, my sister and my cousin, they were in the garden and they came to the house, but they couldn't come to the actual reception. But yeah, some places I love is I obviously love Folkestone. Shop Folkestone is absolutely gorgeous. It's an Irish brand. They've just really beautiful dresses and they are quite affordable as well. They do velvet, they do slip dresses, they do that rust color, which I love and which is very popular, and like every shade of green as well. So I definitely would recommend Folkestone. Covet is what it's called, I believe. Also stocks Jenny Yu. So for anyone who is a Jenny Yu bridesmaids dress fan, I would highly recommend checking them out as well. In terms of colors, I like something a bit more bold. So I do think pastel colors are very, very popular. And I know they're popular for a reason. They're lovely. But with Irish skin, I actually think, like, if you're particularly pale like me, those darker colors, like your dark greens, like maybe those dark rusty oranges or even burgundies and purple colors, they're so flattering and they look so beautiful, like on that skin tone. So I would definitely look at those kind of colors and kind of step away from the more traditional, for me personally, pastel colors. But again, when you're getting married, also plays a big part of that. So if you're getting married in autumn, you might want those deeper tones, and in summer you might want those lighter tones. Okay, so I'll see if anyone sent in any questions. If not, I'm just going to keep going off the questions that come in on my page. Like Eva, we stock a large range of... Yeah, so Carol there from Smart Brides has just put in that they also stock a large range of designer bridesmaids dresses. So make sure to check them out as well, because they do them in every color. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly check here with other questions that people have sent in. Budgeting, yeah. So someone was asking how to budget, especially when they maybe find it a little bit more difficult to get some quotes from suppliers. So I think, first of all, one thing to remember is that suppliers are flat out busy making up for weddings from last year. So definitely it might take them a little bit longer to reply, but like just send those follow-up mails. But I always say you should email like 3 to 5 different vendors. So if you're trying to put together a budget, it's very hard to know what the price is, because there's quite difficult to get those prices online, and that's because weddings are so different. So if you're mailing, what we did is we kind of had a generic email that we sent out to suppliers, and this kind of mentioned roughly the numbers that we were looking to have, the area that we were looking to get married in, so that they could kind of figure out travel costs if they needed to implement them. And then we would put in what roughly we were looking for. So for flowers, for example, we didn't know exactly the colors, but we kind of had an idea of the style. So we might even include 1 or 2 photos as an example. This just allows the suppliers to come back to you with a much more accurate price. So I would say definitely try and send 3 to 5 mails to each supplier that you're looking at to get an idea of averages and what they're charging, and then you can kind of base it off that. But they can only give you a good price if you give them as much information as possible. So whatever you know, I would try and include that in that email so that they can be very, very accurate in what they come back with. As well as that, like if you just can't get a price at all, there's some great, if you Google, I think it's One Fab Day, have a really, really useful article, and this includes like kind of your average cost. So when we didn't get a response back from certain people or certain suppliers, what we would do is we would just check what that article kind of said or the average was, and we'd put that into our budget. And then like what's most important with budgeting is prioritizing. So like obviously you can't always afford to get every single thing that you see on a wedding that you love. So like I obviously was obsessed with pampas grass when we were planning our wedding, and like pampas grass at the time was very expensive. I'm not sure if it still is, it might be, but I love flower arches, I loved everything. But when it all added up, I think I got a quote that was like 5,000 from one particular florist, and I was like, okay, well I obviously can't afford that. So we had to kind of reel it back in and see what did we actually want, what did we need, what could we live without. So flowers were quite important, but to us food was by far the most important. So we chose to put most of our budget into the venue and the food because that's where our priority was. And we, as a result, we then took a lot of it out of flowers and styling and decorating, because we thought our venue would kind of speak for itself. So write out that list for budgeting of everything that you want. If you want to write out everything you can think of relating to weddings, like transport, bridesmaids, dresses, accessories, shoes, hair, makeup, flowers, styling, everything you can think of, and put a price beside it, and then read through it again and see what do you definitely need, what can you maybe live without. Maybe you decide you're going to send emails instead of physical invites, which is fine. We did something similar. We had a website called With Joy, which is free, and you can use this website to send out save the dates, which we found extremely helpful. So your guests then kind of have to RSVP on this website, and once they've RSVP, they put in their address, so you can then send them out a physical invite if you like. We didn't end up doing that because of COVID, but our plan was initially to use like email for save the dates and then send physical invites. But it just meant you saved a bit of money there on your like stationery costs. So definitely when you're budgeting, just write out everything you can think of first, then prioritize and see what is most important to you. The other thing that was quite important to us was having that little bit more drink for our guests when they arrived. So again, we thought we would put a little bit more money into having those extra canopies and drinks on arrival, but that meant taking it out of somewhere else. So it just, you have to make a few sacrifices with your wedding. It is unfortunately part of the painful planning process, the not so fun part, but it's definitely worth it when it gets to the end and you have your day and you realize everyone's so happy. When you turn around, you see there's smiley faces everywhere. No one's thinking, oh, she cut money here or she cut money there. Everyone's just there to have a good time. It was called With Joy. I think it should come up straight away once you Google. It's a very helpful website. So that is the budgeting question. Yeah, my Bella Bell shoes were so comfortable. I couldn't recommend them enough. The only thing, so Bella Bell shoes are stocked in Bell Blue Vintage, I believe it's called. I'll share it on my Instagram page after, which is a store in Cork. So if you don't want to order online, look that up, or Blue Vintage, I believe it might be called. Look it up in Cork. They do stock them. But if you do order them online, just to note, there is custom charges because they're coming from America, but they are 100% worth it. They weren't huge. I think I paid 30 or 40 euro on customs, and I've ordered 2 pairs of Bella Bell shoes, and both of them were extremely comfortable. I could wear them all day. So yeah, definitely recommend. I got a block heel though, I would say. I never got the stiletto style, but I'm not good in heels, so I needed the block heel. Plus I didn't want too much height. Yeah, so hair and makeup artists, I actually think Instagram is the best place to find, because I'm not good at hair or makeup. I'm not so bad at hair anymore, but I don't know how to do makeup, and I don't know what is good makeup. So when I was looking at all these styles, I didn't know if I liked them or not. So what I found was the best way for me to pick a makeup artist was to literally go onto all their makeup artist pages on Instagram, and I would see, I would check if they're using a filter. So first of all, if they're using a filter, I was kind of okay, I don't trust them, because I think you need to show what the actual makeup looks like. I know we all love a filter, but for trying to decide what I want for my wedding, I want to see what it would actually look like. So I kind of look out for things like, were they using filters on their pictures? Were they using a style that I liked? And what their kind of range of style was. So obviously, if I see a page and it's really bold, bright makeup, it might look amazing, but maybe not for me for my wedding. It doesn't necessarily mean that's not a good makeup artist for me. It just means they were doing that style. So I try and see if they did a more natural or discreet look that would be more suitable for weddings. And I found a couple of makeup artists that way that I reached out to. They were unfortunately booked out, but it was all irrelevant. My cousin did my makeup because of COVID, but it was I did find that makeup artists, they booked up quite quick. So I would recommend, if you do see one you like, reach out to them straight away, see if they have your date. And I liked Instagram the most for pictures, because you can see their stories, you can see unfiltered, you can see their tagged pictures as well. All of this shows you their work without, I suppose, them having a filter on them. Sorry, just reading this. To get a quote from a florist, you need to know the exact type of flowers you want. Obviously, this makes the price differ. Yeah, so I think you definitely want to have an idea. I didn't have, when I was reaching out to all my florists, I didn't know what flowers I wanted. Only one I knew I maybe wanted was pampas grass, but I didn't even go with that in the end. But so that was all I put in. But I tried to use more pictures, so that then if they saw the picture and they were thinking, okay, well, you want these roses and they're the most expensive, so that's going to hike your budget. But there's also another type of flower that looks very similar, will give you that same effect, but will half the price. So that's the kind of approach you want to take. So you could show a picture rather than say which exact flowers, and say that you're open to a different type of flower. It's more that kind of style that you're looking for. So this will allow them to put in a couple of different options for you. So yeah, I never actually sent in the exact flowers I wanted. I just used more reference photos, and then my flowers could work from there to try and fit that into the budget and take things out or add them in, depending on what was more expensive than I realized or what maybe was more affordable. No problem. Okay, so any other questions in the chat, or will I keep going with my Instagram questions that came through? So another question that comes up quite a lot is, I suppose, dealing with the stress of restrictions and the unknown. And me and Sara did kind of touch up this a little bit, but I suppose just to kind of chat more about how to cope and how not to let this take over your life. So if anyone watching this is getting married in the next few weeks, I'm sure you're like I was, and you're checking the news daily and you're seeing what are the numbers, what's going on, like what are the restrictions. And it takes a serious toll on your mental health. It does take a little bit of that like special magic and excitement away from your wedding. So I just want to chat a little bit about how not to let that happen and how to try and focus on the positives and what is going to happen regardless. So we are lucky at the moment. There's no restriction on numbers, which is great news. I know it has to finish at 12, but I think in the grand scheme of things, that's not too bad at all. You can shift your wedding a bit earlier, which quite a few people have been talking about. So rather than starting at 2 or 3, you can maybe have your ceremony at 12 or even 11, then go to the reception and, you know, have that a little bit earlier, have your dinner a little bit earlier, and then have the band and everyone arrive earlier. So you can just shift everything earlier basically and still have a bit of fun and not be worrying about that deadline at 12. So what I would also focus on is I would just stop reading the news and checking if you can. Easier said than done, I know, but focus on a couple of things that are going to happen regardless. So no matter what happens, you're still going to have your hair and your makeup done. You're still going to have your flowers. You're still going to have really nice meal. You're still going to have guests there. So what I used to do was focus on these things, like how do I want my flowers to look, and what way will I wear my hair, and what way will Laura, my sister, who was allowed to be at the wedding, wear her hair. And I would just focus on everything that had to happen regardless. So that would be my top tip. Like, forget about things that were completely out of your control as much as you can, in the way that just focus on what does have to be done. Focus on the good, all the things that will happen regardless. Your husband or your wife, their like accessories, their shoes, their dress, their suit, anything that they need to have. Make sure you've ticked all those boxes, all those last minute things. You'd be surprised, like in the weeks coming up to the wedding, all of a sudden there's like a million things to do. And you're just thinking, do I have are my flowers ready? Are my flowers the style I want? Is my hair how I want? I would say as well, try, if possible, to do a hair trial and put your dress on afterwards. So this is very away from it, but I had initially planned to do Hollywood waves for my wedding, and I had a hair trial and I had the Hollywood waves done, and I thought they looked beautiful. Like, the hairdresser was amazing. She did just the most perfect Hollywood wave job. So I went home. Luckily, it was just around the corner from my house. I went home and put my dress on, and I just cried because it just looked terrible with the dress. It was like, the dress itself was so detailed that the Hollywood waves just didn't suit it. It didn't sit well. And then the Hollywood waves ended up falling out of my hair quite quickly, which was nothing to do with the hairdresser. It was just, unfortunately, my hair didn't hold the curl very well, or that wave. So within like an hour of getting it done, it just looked that little bit more drab and not so beautiful. So definitely, if you are having a hair trial, I would try and go home and put your dress on. And if you can't, I would try and go home and put on a white dress of sorts, even if it's just like a white bed sheet, wrap it around yourself, just to see what you look like with your hair and that kind of white colorings, and see if it all ties in together. So yeah, would just recommend that if you can put your dress on after your hair trial to make sure it fits, because that is the point of the trial, to see if you like it. And that was when I realized I needed an updo and not my hair down. So things like that, like if you can, definitely try and do it. But yeah, for focusing on the wedding, I got a little bit distracted because that was something I did. Focus on your hair, your makeup, your flowers, your suit, your dress, accessories, your bridesmaids, everything that has to happen, and just try and forget about numbers and restrictions. Out of curiosity, is anyone getting married in the next few weeks or months, and are you feeling a little bit worried about restrictions on how things are going? Or are you feeling a little bit more relaxed because the restrictions are quite okay at the moment? I think it's not the worst anyway to have a cut-off time at midnight, but maybe if you feel different, if you're the one getting married soon. Okay, so I just see is any other questions coming through, and if not, I will just keep going with the questions that came in on the question box. Let's check really quickly. Sorry, I'm reading through some of the questions. I get a little bit, the same question gets asked a few times. Oh, my favorite style. So what would be my favorite style of wedding flowers? It actually used to be pampas grass, which I've mentioned a few times, and I still love that look. I love the dry flower bouquet, but I've recently also loved orchids, which I'm not sure if you can see. No, I thought I might have my wedding bouquet in the picture, but I had orchids on my bouquet. And the reason I picked them was because I liked how they flowed. So like when you're holding your bouquet and they kind of fell down that little bit, it looked very natural and flowy. And I just thought it was such a beautiful look. I love roses, obviously. I think we all love roses. My only issue with them is I feel like they die quite quickly. I don't know if that's just my experiences, But roses look beautiful. I love dried flower bouquets and I love orchids as well. I love deep colors. I'm definitely more of a winter than summer person. Even though I got married in April, I was initially meant to get married in October, and I was going for the whole burnt orange, autumn colors, velvet green dresses. That was definitely the kind of style I was going for. But I ended up getting married in April, which is obviously much more like pastels and spring colors, which was way out of my comfort zone. It's just my style was never really that. So I kind of had to adapt quite quickly, which was not the easiest when you're someone who's very set on a particular style. And I'm sure a lot of people here have had to postpone as well and change seasons. But I definitely found that probably the hardest of it all was adapting to a new season and changing my whole mindset on what kind of colors I wanted and what tones I'd be going for the wedding. So if anyone's had to experience that, let me know, because it is not the most enjoyable experience, but definitely opens yourself up to a whole new style. And it kind of opened my eyes up to all these different colors and pinks and lighter tones, and it worked out very nicely. So yeah, that would be my top flower choices, and also just a little bit about my season change for my wedding. Okay, is there any other questions that people might have coming through? I know we're kind of getting close to 1 o'clock, so I don't want to ramble too much. Do feel free to send them in. If not, I might just finish up. I had 3-minute countdown. Yeah, so I'm just going to finish up by saying again to make sure you do enjoy. Yes, the fashion show is at 1 o'clock as well on the live stage. But before I finish up, to say enjoy the process and enjoy the day. The day flies by so quickly, and you don't want to spend any of it worrying. Like those things that you think are taking over your thoughts, and you think, oh, everything has to look a certain way. Something will always go wrong, or something won't go as planned, but no one will notice. Everyone's only going to notice like how much fun they're having, how happy they are to be around each other, like how beautiful the couple look and how happy everyone is. Like the little things don't matter. And the thing, even the big things that you think matter, none of it really does. Like people have sent me stories about how they've spilled drinks on their dresses has ripped and they thought it was the end of the world, and someone just fixes it or wipes it, and the day goes on and everyone has the best day ever. So try not to sweat too much about the little things or even the big things, and just focus on how beautiful the time it is and how lovely a day it is that you get to marry like the person of your dreams and spend the rest of your life with them. And yeah, hope you all have a really amazing day. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you found it a little bit helpful. And sorry, one last question came in. Yes, my dress was comfortable on the day. The only thing that my dress did was rub off my shoe. I had a little bit of skin. So I had a little bit of skin showing between my shoe and the dress, and it was rubbing slightly. So that was the only thing I would say was a little bit uncomfortable. But for the most part, it was a very comfortable dress to wear for the day. And my shoes are also very comfortable. Okay, well, I think that's it from me. Different photographer have some. Yeah, some white chalk to cover up any of those stains as well. There's a tip from a photographer. Thanks everyone so much for joining in. I hope you have a great rest of the day and enjoy the virtual wedding show. I'm sure there's some beautiful dresses I can't wait to see. And thanks so much for having me on. Bye. I hope you all have a great day.